Welcome to Introduction to Career Coaching. In this presentation, I'm going to go over the foundations of a coaching session and provide some examples of great coaching questions. And lastly, how to gear a coaching session to address career-related topics. First off, we want to start with coaching assumptions. We see that the client is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. We believe the client has the answers or can find the answers that they are seeking. Secondly, the coach holds clients' information confidential. You're not going to be sharing their information with others. Third, the agenda comes from the client. They're going to set the agenda and let us know what they would like to accomplish, and we're going to help them either clarify what they want to accomplish and then take action on that. Fourth, the coaching relationship is a designed alliance. We assume that we're working together and we're collaborating. You're not necessarily assigning homework or deciding on where you would like them to be, but you're helping them determine what they would like to do and focus on next. Lastly, the coach provides active listening, and with that is often open-ended, non-judgmental questions that really get them reflecting and thinking about what they desire to do and how they plan to do it. The third slide has information on the International Coach Federation. It's a great professional organization for coaches, and it's a place where you can also, get credentialing. I've put their website there, coachfederation.org, and at the very bottom you see a tiny URL, which is basically the next slides 4, 5, and 6, the core competencies for coaching. It's a great resource for you, and I encourage you to print out this presentation and really review especially 4, 5, and 6, those competencies that you want to be developing as you're coaching. All right. Let's jump to the 7th slide, which is a structure that you can use for a coaching session. A structure that I like to use is using the letter C as connecting. Secondly, clarifying what goals they would like to accomplish or have accomplished. Third is focusing on how are we going to collaborate, how am I going to help you. Fourth is challenging. As a coach, you want to challenge them to do more, to do it faster. Just whatever it is, make that goal better. And lastly is concluding the session and yet leaving room to continue and meet again. The 8th slide goes into more detail about connecting and that first part of a session, really developing the rapport. The first time you meet, I suggest that you ask permission to coach. This is one way it helps set the stage for the client to share responsibility for the success of the session. So simply asking, may I have your permission to coach you? That's a great way to set it up. Be careful of general questions like, how was your week? Because you may end up having more of a conversation than coaching. You want to focus more on action there. And review the client's actions taken and check in on the wins that the client has had, and be sure to congratulate them. And then ask them, what was that like for you? And how did it go? Because you're not only focusing on the action and taking action and the steps they want to take to get to certain goals, you're also reflecting on the process for them, helping them to reflect on their process. So that's where the transformation really occurs in coaching. Oftentimes is that reflecting back on goals accomplished. Lastly, I want to make sure that we know that coaches are not there to evaluate or judge a client, and it's important not to create a dependency where the client worries whether they're going to impress you or not. You want this to be an authentic relationship where it's their agenda, obviously driving what they want to accomplish, and that they're not trying to show off or look good in front of you. All right, slide number 9 goes into some ethical issues. It is important to know when to refer a client to another support professional. If you're hearing any type of issues around mental illness, depression, anxiety, anything even more severe, things that are outside of the realm of your ability to assist them. Be sure to refer them to help. This may not be a client who's going to benefit from your help, your coaching, if they really need a different type of professional. Establish appropriate client and coach relationship and boundaries. You want to make sure that you're not necessarily responding to messages in the middle of the night or calling them back. You need to figure out what your boundaries are and set those, and then maintain those boundaries. And yet, creating a safe and supportive environment that produces mutual respect and trust, that confidentiality. All right, slide number 10 goes through one of the core competencies, the ICF competency of understanding and effectively communicating the distinctions between coaching, consulting, and therapy. So what are the differences there? So this slide really details, in the areas of who's receiving, the recipients of coaching, counseling, and consulting, what is the focus of coaching, etc., the role of the helper-client relationship, outcomes, and length of relationship. They are some overlap, obviously, you see, but there are some very big differences amongst those. Moving on to slide 11, the clarifying section of a session. This is the focus. This is how you are going to be focusing the session, helping to define and set goals, determining specific success measurements, identifying challenges, and confirming, what you understand. This is when you help the client get clear and focus on the session. Its significance, what their desired takeaway is for that session, and then how they're going to measure it. You want to be paying attention to the client's learning style and adapting to it the best you can, using your active listening to confirm understanding. Share what you're hearing to ensure that you are understanding what they are saying, and then listen intently and feedback what you're hearing. Ask clarifying and powerful questions. And so this is the clarifying. I've got a slide 12 there, has some really great clarifying questions. That I'm not going to read them all, but as you print out the slide deck, you can say you can use and those questions 13 and 14 I got from Nancy Bratton. And I think these are a terrific resource for asking questions around careers. So this is an informal assessment of looking at helping a client to better identify what their career needs are. So we've got the internal fit questions for fulfillment and identity. What do they need to feel good in a job, in a career? In slide 13 and in slide 14, we've got the external fit. So, what are the functions and what are the industry and interests that you like? So externally, what are you looking for in a job, in a career? So I think these are great resources, and I encourage you to print out the presentation to look at those. On slide 15, we are talking about collaborating with a client, designing that alliance and establishing support, determining accountability measures. So you're taking what they said during the clarifying section of the session and then talking about, well, what can I do to help you here? And really getting specific. And so there's some additional questions you'll find on the slide that can help you with that designing of alliance and collaborating. Slide 16 goes into challenging. How do we help clients achieve more of their goals and faster? And how do we help them determine the specific amount that they want to attain in their goals? And we really want to use very direct and succinct questions during this portion, and provide acknowledgement and encouragement as we challenge them. So these are additionally some great questions, things to say in a coaching challenging section of a session. Would you be willing to double that goal? On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident that you are that you can attain this goal in the timeline you've established. So you're getting really specific about that goal attainment. All right, lastly, in a coaching session, as we conclude the session, as we complete the session, we do want to wrap up with some concluding thoughts. How well has your desired takeaway for the session been tonight? Asking them different questions to really help them conclude and think about what they've reflected on and action steps they've taken, even within that session. However, we also want to continue. So this is where we could suggest or co-create homework assignments that will help them get ready for the next session and set some new goals. And then, be sure to, if you've got another session coming up, make sure it's scheduled. Make sure they know when you're going to be talking again and meeting again. And, this might be a great time to just go over those goals that you were setting earlier and make sure that you're both on the same page. So, this is, excuse me, basically what a coaching session is all about. That connecting, clarifying, collaborating, challenging, and then lastly concluding and continuing the coaching session.